Welcome back to Grog Talk, brought to you by GraniteGrog.com and the Coalition of New Hampshire Taxpayers. Check them out at cnht.org. Check us out at GraniteGrog.com. Take us with you anywhere and everywhere on your PC, laptop, or smartphone. It's Spreaker, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and, of course, GraniteGrog.com. Lots of microphones to turn on, especially this one. I got to turn this down because, Kimberly, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, good. Good to have you with us. Welcome to the show. Excuse me, I have to move my elephant. All right, so.
Turn on your Windows computer.
Turn on your Windows computer.
We are Microsoft tech support.
Green. I pick up the phone. Yellow. Sorry, anyway. A little diversion there. Good morning.
You guys been getting the fake Microsoft scam calls or
Oh,
something?
all the time. It's so much fun to play games with them. Well, I have several. Which one are you talking about? Well, just turn it on. They're all on. And then it proceeds downhill from there. It's my one guilty little pleasure.
Well, Kimberly, since you took the trouble to call us, what's up?
Nothing.
No.
Blood pressure.
That's what I said. I said, what a boring week. Let's talk about it.
No, sorry, guys. Work is trying to kill me, and so are politics. So.
So, are you just here to join the conversation, or did you want to start off with something?
Oh, I can start off with something.
Sure. Sure. You called in. We're gonna give you the floor, or whatever it's called.
You can have a sit-in.
Sit in.
What the hell is wrong with our representatives in New Hampshire?
Which ones?
There's a list.
Okay, so last week, most of them. Last week, Jeanne Shaheen said that any person who buys an AR-15 is doing it to buy for bad things.
That would be everybody in this room.
Yeah, and on the phone.
I don't actually own one, but if I did,
Close enough.
I have rifles.
You have the intent.
I have, apparently, according to her, I do.
Yeah, because obviously, to Jeanne Shaheen, thousands of her constituents are bad people who want to do bad things.
Including
in which case,
2 manufacturing companies that employ a couple of people I've heard.
Yeah. So in other words, New Hampshire would look exactly like Chicago, but somehow it doesn't. Why is that? Because normal people have normal self-restraint and they don't do bad things.
They're not Democrats.
Yes.
But how heinous of a woman and a representative is she that she actually thinks that badly of thousands of her own constituents?
Well, she's not in any danger of being removed from office at this point until her next election, at which point something will have changed by then. So she can say whatever the hell she wants.
So, you know what? I have a question about that. Why you just said that. I've had 3 people this week send me private messages asking about recalls.
Yes.
Now, how do you get that done? I have to say I don't know anything about it.
Can't do it in New Hampshire.
You can't.
No, you cannot.
How come?
You can recall a planning board member. You can recall a zoning board member. You may, under certain circumstances, be able to recall a selectman.
Why can't you recall anyone else?
Because
we tried to get
Okay,
that. So
this.
Is it not legal?
Yeah,
the
I don't know about
not
this
implemented. What's the?
Because they don't want to be removed. Why? New Hampshire is a Dillon's Rule state. Everybody forgets that. A Dillon's Rule state says that local government and or citizens, but mostly local government, can do nothing that isn't expressly provided for by the legislature. So, the legislature has provided a mechanism to remove certain local officials. The legislature has not provided a mechanism to remove public.
So it's not that we have laws on the books. We don't have laws on the books.
We do not have laws on the books.
So maybe we need to lobby to get some laws on the books.
Gee, yeah.
For
I'm
recalls.
sure the governor will sign it.
Well, yeah. In 2011,
With a
they tried to bring up the ability to recall U.S. senators, pull them back and rein them in.
When did they do this?
After the O'Brien years started.
Okay.
In that legislature, they tried to do that. It didn't survive. Lynch wouldn't have signed it anyway. But
Edelblut might.
Edelblut might, yeah.
We can't even provide for an attorney general to be elected.
That's true.
Instead of being appointed out of one single law firm. If you look at the history of attorney generals in the state of New Hampshire, the mothership for attorney generals, they're all appointed and they all get a 5-year term.
Yeah.
And if you notice the governor's typical schedule of appointments and rollovers is getting close to the end of the term, and we sort of do a nice little, blended way of all these hacks staying in office.
Yeah.
So in other words, it doesn't get to be on the desk of the next Republican, we hope, governor. It'll get done by the outgoing Democrat just to make sure her legacy's
Every department
maintained.
head should have to resign upon election of a new governor, just like in Washington.
You know, the legislature can vacate the judiciary. They ought to be able to vacate the bureaucracy.
They can't vacate themselves.
Well, no, they can't, but they can by law. Vacate
They won't.
The judiciary. I know they won't, but they could. They have the power. Kimberly.
Can we start with vacating the New Hampshire Department of Safety?
Sure.
You bet. All hat, no clue.
Exactly. So on top of Shaheen being a heinous beast, then you have
I'm sorry.
then you have Maggie Hassan, who not only doesn't apparently know the current laws, even though she's a lawyer and the sitting governor of a state, who thinks you can order a gun online and get it sent to your home, but she thinks you can just go to a gun show and buy a firearm without a background check. But Maggie Hassan finally admitted she wants to ban firearms. She wants to ban all semi-automatic rifles.
But public safety and that little short guy at the Department of Safety.
But Puppet Bloomberg, oh my God.
Oh, I think we have seriously entered the era of we have safety and security on one side versus freedom on another.
No,
And
we have
unfor-
disarmament of citizens, and that's the end game. And anybody that doesn't believe that is a moron.
Right, but we're basically dealing with Franklin's saying about anybody who would trade essential liberty for a little temporary security deserves neither.
Right.
And governments have been trying to frighten their citizens into or subjects into believing that government and more government is what they need all along. It appears that in the United Kingdom, only the Scots believe believe the fiction that life is scary without government.
Well, Wales did the same thing. They went.
No.
Wales was huge for exit.
Yeah,
Absolutely was.
So I was looking.
All the traditional industrial areas, which you would think would be heavily unionized, which typically go with more government, have voted hugely for out, which says immigration is one of the big issues. Northern Ireland was mixed, which if you look at the people of Northern Ireland are about half Irish and half Scottish, and Scotland was hugely for in because pass the government teat please.
Yeah.
They won't like me saying that, but that's what it basically amounts to.
And the
They were scared or guilted into staying in the United Kingdom when they could have made a sensible case for
That's
exit.
true.
But if you looked at the areas that voted for in on that referendum, they were all the government-dependent classes. And
Sure.
Tony's free to disagree with me here, but that's basically it, right? The larger parts of government subsidised Scotland were the ones that voted for in.
Absolutely, and Scotland is heavily subsidised by the British government. Scotland is heavily subsidised by the British government. Everybody in England has to pay school fees. You get a loan and you pay back about £9,000. That's probably $12,000, something like that.
Used to be.
Per annum. Yeah.
Sorry.
That was $1.37 to the
I know.
pound.
I know.
Scotland-
I'm being ugly.
Scotland, if you're in Scotland, you don't have to pay a penny. You go right through university free. We have an agreement with
Bernie.
Scotland where per capita, anything spent on the NHS in England, Scotland gets that plus a certain amount. I forget the exact percentage. It's about 10 or 12% over whatever we get in the UK spent on them for the NHS. So they have better NHS than we do and free schooling, just to mention two things.
So
No
they-
wonder they didn't want to leave.
Well,
Yeah,
now
my
they do, though.
goodness.
Does the EU have a better health
No,
care plan?
no, now they don't. Now you've still got Nicola Sturgeon and the SNP. They want power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what they're really after.
If you're an independent country, then you can just ask everybody for money,
That's true.
right?
That's true. They don't have to say
They're going to
yes, though.
declare war on somebody, right?
Well, isn't that really the whole reason for the EU to begin with, was to kind of
Trade bloc.
hamstring
Yeah.
France and Germany from going at each other again? And now what has happened, when you look at the economics, it's been war by economics instead of war by bullets. Who basically owns Europe?
Germany.
Germany.
Not France, Germany. And which is why even the French are talking about getting out of the EU.
Yep.
And by the way, I commend to everybody a 2011 Wall Street Journal article by Niall Ferguson on 2021. And you know the one I mean. The New Europe with the redrawn map and the Norse League and the Germans basically owning all of Europe and the Greeks being good for butlers or something.
Yeah.
Only he got one thing wrong, and he said, Cameron celebrating his yet another re-election triumph after he led Britain out of the EU in whatever year it was. Well, Cameron didn't do that. Cameron wimped out. Cameron promised that he'd have the referendum. He promised he would go and renegotiate the terms. He failed to renegotiate the terms. He came back and claimed success, and then he campaigned on fear of exit to try and keep the Brits in. If he had come back and said the negotiations were a bust, guys, this bureaucracy's untenable. My man Steve Hilton told me that 2/3 of British laws are written in Brussels. I'm for exit. Who's following me? Right now, that guy would be a hero, and his re-election for the next 2 or 3 terms would be guaranteed.
That takes leadership.
That takes leadership and courage. I got to tell you, David Cameron ain't got it.
Nope.
Oh, I think that most leaders are not going to show leadership because they don't want to break up the status quo. Their power is entrenched with wherever they are, and unless they really believe in something bigger than themselves, they will never.
Yeah.
And, I think you said the right phrase, the status quo. The more you watch progressive societies, and make no mistake, the socialist democracies in Europe are nothing but progressive societies. The status quo is everything. You saw that in the Eastern Bloc during communism, where they didn't want to change because, again, it was a loss of power if society changed. And we see the Eurocrats out of Brussels, one of the smallest countries in Europe, being the head of everybody else. They must be, over the last 40 years, they must be just loving this. We're in control with all of these rules.
Well,
and it came down to Brits hated the idea that these Eurocrats are saying, you don't need that tea kettle, you don't need that hairdryer. The tell for a progressive is, you don't need that. The opposite of freedom.
When's the last time anybody's been to Brussels?
A few years ago.
Well, if
I've actually been there 3 or 4 times.
Every now and then my wife cooks the sprouts in the kitchen.
I used to go at least twice a year because I was
and that smells worse than the Grand Place, I can tell you.
But when you look at the signs, the street signs, they're in French and they're in Walloon. What's a Walloon?
Flemish?
They're in French
Flemish,
French and Flemish because basically half the society is.
So they're already polarized. So they get this, right?
Whoa.
And
stay.
And Brussels, which used to be a lovely, lovely, lovely town. Okay. I used to serve on a couple of EU committees before it became the EC, but EU committees on coal and maritime issues.
I never knew that. Every time I talk to you,
Good.
more and more keeps coming out.
You've just touched on another area that I'd like to cover as part of the Brexit, but we'll come back
maritime?
to it. Fisheries.
But it was, and in fact, in the early days of the IPCC, remember? I was part of an energy delegate from the U.S., and the reason it got going and everybody was so excited about it is every fourth world country in the world got sent plane tickets and hotel accommodations to come and vote the way that the guys wanted. Yeah. So it was a great, marvelous party. And none of it was in English. I mean, of course, you're sitting there and you've got your headsets on and they have all the interpreters there. And
so is that how come a railroad engineer from India gets to be the head of the IPCC because he'll vote the way they want?
Yep.
No, actually, he was part of the scam. They wouldn't give it to somebody that was, from, I don't know, Uganda, right? They had to have somebody to make it look like it was... everybody got that? I don't want that much icing.
Oh, well, hang on. I'll cut you a little piece. Give that one to Jane, then.
One question.
Yeah.
You mentioned that the street signs are in French and Flemish.
Yes, Walloons, we call them.
Walloons. Well, how
it's
come...
a pejorative term.
Well, given that how they're
Hang
Democrat...
on, Tony, isn't that the other way around? Aren't the Walloons the French Belgians, or have I got it backwards? They're Belgians. Okay, sorry.
Given the demographic changes in the major cities like Brussels, how come the street signs aren't in Arabic?
Well, I was going to say I haven't been to Brussels in a while. They could be. They very well could be. I don't know that. But why are any of us surprised? This is just repackaged, okay? It's just Tang all over again, in a little tiny, powder thing that goes in your water bottle.
Yep.
It's the same thing. And why is everybody astonished when this happens again? Because we forget and we don't remember. And we're the frog in the pot of water.
Well, part of it, too, is since the progressive...
Thank you for the cake, by the way.
Since the progressive...
Let them eat cake, for God's sake.
Since the progressive...
Thank Mama. She likes cake.
Thank you, Mama.
Go ahead.
Since the progressive era started in the 1890s here in the United States...
Does this not happen to you at home?
Huh?
Does this not happen to you at home? People interrupting you all the time when you're trying to speak?
Benjamin cries a lot and interrupts me. Yes, a lot.
Wah. Go ahead.
But one of their main mantras is that we elites have to evolve or progress everybody else. And I think this is what people are,
Forgot napkins, didn't they?
at least in
Oh, wait.
Britain, have said, we've had enough. You've now seen the birth of the Leave Us Alone coalition in Britain. Now, that's a side thought. I lost my main train of thought.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. But I look at this and go, you're right, Susan. History repeats itself. The founders knew that. They tried to put something into place that would kind of stymie that. And unfortunately, the progressives have so eaten away at the Constitution and the way that we think about things is that we are about to do it again.
And what's so shocking is people are less worried about who sits in the office as to who they're going to appoint to the Supreme Court to interpret what we all know is in English. Nobody cares about who the president is. It's, oh my God, the Supreme Court's at stake. Oh my God, oh my God. I don't give a damn what the Supreme Court says. I can read the Constitution. I can read the Bill of Rights. Okay? So if we don't like laws, either we ignore them and we become criminals, or we seek to change them. Either we're a country of laws, or we are not.
But we are
I
not
would
a
pause.
country
I
of
would
laws,
pause
yeah.
it now.
We are not.
We are not, because when you look at what President Obama has done in the recent Supreme Court decision, the 4-4 tie, he wanted to do what he wanted to do. By the grace of God, we got the tie, which means that the lower court
He's
stands.
already said he doesn't care.
Understood. But I look at this, you mentioned the Supreme Court. When 4 liberal Supreme Court justices don't look at the actual law and only look at what they were what the intention was of President Obama, in which they agree with philosophically,
Right.
we are no longer a country of laws. When we see what's going on with the parties and
What are you
doing
looking
what
for?
they want,
Mike's looking for something.
I thought I'd brought napkins as well, but never mind.
There's probably some in the bathroom.
No, I did not. Okay.
it does give me great worry.
I'm going to go get some napkins.
We're eating cake, by the way.
Well
150th
set.
program cake provided by Marmar. Thank you very much.
Let them eat cake.
Let them eat cake. You people eat cake. So we're gonna you people are gonna eat some cake. We're gonna take a little break.
Kimberly, you
And,
didn't know what.
I'm turning you off. And we'll be right back.
Rock